In this training video, I'm going to show you how to record time and tips in our payroll system called ADP. You can do this from your mobile device or either of the desktop computers at Lone Star Wine Cellars. Best practice is to do this from a desktop computer. We have found that trying to do this from a mobile device has sometimes results in errors. So the best practice is always to do this at the end of your shift before leaving Lone Star Wine Cellars. Okay, so from the desktop computer, you may need to minimize the VinNow system. So to minimize the VinNow system, to access the icons on the desktop computer, enter your password. And you'll have the options to either minimize or close out VinNow system in the top right corner. Here we're just going to minimize the VinNow system. This gives us access to all of the icons on the desktop computer. And in the top right hand corner, you'll see one called Timesheets Login. Double click on Timesheets Login and you'll be prompted to enter your username and password. Enter your username and select Next, and then enter your password. And select Sign In. You do not want to save your password to the desktop computer, so select No Thanks. If you update your password, your team members will be able to log in and see your pay information. So select No Thanks when you're prompted. Okay, the first thing you're going to see in our ADP system is your dashboard. Now along the left-hand side, there are some options. This can be confusing because if you're trying to enter your time and tips, you might logically think to select time on the left-hand side. This is not where you need to log time. To log your time, scroll down to the time and attendance on the bottom of your dashboard and select Go to ADP Time and Attendance. Next, select My Time Card. Your timesheet for the current pay period will be displayed, and you will add your time to the Time Card tab, and you'll add your tips and bonuses to the Supplemental Pay Codes tab. So first, in the Time Card tab, go to the day that you worked and enter your time. Let's say this employee worked from 4:00 p.m. till really late, had to stay late, and so they stayed until 12:05 a.m. The AM and PM is critical for calculating the correct number of hours. You can see here on the right-hand side, the system automatically calculates the number of hours. So if you make a mistake and put PM instead of AM, your hours are calculated as 20 hours, and that's a sign to you that you need to make a correction because you know you didn't work 20 hours. And make sure that the AM and PM is documented properly. Okay? So once you've verified in the right-hand side that the total number of hours is correct, you're going to select what's called the department code. The department codes allocate different pay rates to the hours that you're working. So for example, you might have your normal scheduled shift that you log in and you receive a pay rate for that. You're going to select your scheduled hours. Those are hours where you're receiving tips, you're clocking in and clocking out of your normal scheduled hours. There might be circumstances where you're authorized to utilize the additional hours, for example, training or attending a monthly meeting. Those are hours that you're working where you are not receiving tips. It's very important to check that you have the department code allocated correctly for all hours. So in this case, it's your normal scheduled shift. The department code is the problem with documenting your time on your mobile device. That is why it's the best practice to come in on a desktop computer and check that your department codes are correct and select Save. Selecting Save will save the hours. If you do not select Save, these hours may not get paid out. So make sure you do select Save and you view those hours displayed. Okay, next you're going to enter your tips and any bonuses received. You do this from the Supplemental Pay Codes tab. What you do is you insert a new supplemental pay code and change the date to the date that you've worked, and change the supplemental pay code to what you're logging. So in this case, I'm going to log my tips for $10 for the day. Ignore the department and select Save. Tips are very critical for reporting accurately. Before payroll is run by a manager, they will cross-check the total number of tips reported on all employees' timesheets and match it against the total number of tips received as displayed in our point of sale system. And if they don't match, it will require that manager to spend a lot of time researching why the tips don't match, and then eventually it'll get resolved. But the best practice is to record your tips before leaving Lone Star to minimize this type of extra effort because of a mistake of not recording your tips. Another thing that you're responsible for recording are any bonuses received. For example, let's say you received a wine club sign up. You would select Insert and change the supplemental pay code to Wine Club Bonus. And let's say you were the only one working. You're going to enter the amount of 1 for 1 Wine Club Bonus. Ignore the department and select Save. You can see that Wine Club Bonus is currently getting paid out at $50 per bonus. So you are entering the number of Wine Club bonuses and not the amount to be paid. We have a policy where all employees on the floor are going to share Wine Club bonuses. So if there are 2 employees on the phone, or if there are 2 employees on the floor, you will enter a 0.5 because you'll be receiving half of the bonus and select Save. If there are 3 employees, you would enter 0.33 as you're receiving 1/3 of the bonus and select Save. You can see now you're receiving $16.5 for this bonus, and so are the rest of your coworkers. If there are 4 employees working on the floor, enter 0.25, select Save, and you can see your final amount will be $12.50. That is it for entering time and tips. As a reminder, the most important things are to double check that you are entering AM and PM correctly and that the total hours is accurate, your department code is correct, and that you enter your bonuses and tips accurately every time you leave Lone Star, every time you leave a shift. And select Save. That's how we enter our time and tips into our payroll system.